3. That's right. Count it 3 weeks until kickoff. So to celebrate, how about we just do this? The 3 most important players for Michigan State football this season.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Spartans is brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 off when you trade $10. Folks, on today's show, yes, we are going to go to the hardwood for a little bit because your Michigan State basketball Spartans, they added 2 non-conference games, and these aren't against behemoth teams, but we will still talk about them, a little bit of the tail of the tape and what else has to be added on that schedule. We'll open up the mailbag at the very end, but first thing is first, guys. If you're listening on Friday, August 14th, oh my, just got a shiver there. We are 3 weeks away from kickoff. This is both parts like amazing, scary. I am a mixed bag of emotions as it pertains to Michigan State football. But hey, enough about me. Let's talk about the 3 most important players for Michigan State this fall. 3 guys that absolutely have to hit their ceiling for Michigan State to reach any of their goals they have set out in front of them, whether it is that Big Ten championship that they keep on talking about, or if you just want to, dial it down to 8 wins or just a bowl game or just hitting the over a 4.5, you're going to need high production from these 3 players. And guys, we're going to start with the biggest one, both literally and figuratively. And look, there's a close race for first place, right? We're going to get to the other guy in a little bit, but I'll start with Ben Murawski, okay? Left tackle, hailing in from UConn, 6'7", 335 pounds. If you're walking across the street from him on Shaw Lane, he's going to cast a shadow right over you still. This guy is created in a lab to play offensive line at the Power 4 level. So why is he going to be important? It's almost like I'm talking down to you guys. Like, you guys probably know why he will be so crucial to Michigan State this season. He's a left tackle, for God's sakes. But let's just talk about it anyway, right? Michigan State. Let's look inward. Their quarterbacks last year, both Aiden Childs and Alessio Milivojevic, were amongst the most pressured quarterbacks in the Big Ten last season. They were actually a top 3 most pressured team last fall. And as a matter of fact, Alessio Milivojevic was the most pressured quarterback in the Big Ten, getting pressured on, sit down for this one, 44.9% of his dropbacks. My guy was running for his life on nearly every other snap last season. So, look, you want to boil it down to just more elementary stats. Michigan State gave up the second most sacks last year with 37 on the year. That's second most sacks in the Big Ten, I should say. And then if you want to blow it out even further, they gave up the 3rd most tackles for loss, not in the Big Ten, but amongst Power 4 teams. They gave up 93 tackles for loss. Only Colorado and Mississippi State were worse last year. Now, let's talk about Big Ben here, Ben Murawski. What makes him so special? Why did Michigan State go and grab him so early in the portal and make a statement, really, with this pickup? Well, let's pick up where he left off. Tackles for loss, running the football, right? Pro Football Focus, they seem to like him a lot. If you want to use them as a Bible, if you just want to use them as somewhat of a guiding light, I don't really care right now. They seem to like him, though, because amongst tackles with at least 200-plus running snaps last year, so we're talking guys with high production, he graded as the 6th highest tackle amongst FBS players last year. So, look, we all know that the left tackle isn't just for, run blocking, of course. You got to protect the quarterback. You got to protect Alessio Milivojevic. So, last season, he allowed 24 pressures on 459 snaps. That's not great. It's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. Just to give you some context. So he gave up 24 pressures last year. Michigan State at the left tackle position gave up 30 last year. And, of course, the pressure was coming from everywhere last season here in East Lansing. Well, look, Ben Murawski faced 3 Power 4 opponents last year. Syracuse, Boston College, and Duke. So not the strongest slate, although Duke, fared pretty well last season. He was shaky against Syracuse. He was solid enough against Boston College and Duke. But he's the number one guy here because if not him, if he's not going to hold it down to left tackle, or God forbid he gets injured, Now what? Sure, yeah, you could bump Connor Moore over there or Rakeem Johnson, maybe even Rustin Young, but this is where you start to carve into the very little depth you have at the offensive line position. So knock on wood. Let me do it one more time. Ben Murawski has proven to be durable. He has more than 1,000 snaps to his name the last 2 seasons. So that is our headliner for number 1 most important player. Now, you might be saying to yourself, wow, wasn't this guy that runs a Michigan State podcast hip to the Spartans pass rush issues? Why isn't that number 1? Well, here we go. This is number 2. Or maybe just 1B. Let's call Kenny Soares 1B. And we've talked about Mr. Soares quite a bit here the last week, donning the number 1 jersey as voted on by his teammates last week. So why is Kenny Soares important? Again, I really don't have to tell you how important getting to the passer is, especially after watching Michigan State football the last few years. But let's just remind everyone anyway, right? The Spartans were bottom 3 in sacks last year in the Big Ten. They only had 22. Now, that's still double what Rutgers and UCLA had, but that still pales in comparison to the rest of the conference. And of those 22 sacks, yes, 6 of them came early in the season against Western Michigan and Youngstown State. So after that, once they started playing Power 4 teams, that's 16 sacks in the last 10 games. That's not necessarily going to cut it, as you know. And, similar to what we just discussed, it's not all about sacks. Tackles for loss matters too, even when you're coming off the edge. They were bottom 4 in tackles for loss in the Big Ten, getting only 55 of them. So we've talked about Kenny Soares. You guys probably already know what this cat's all about. And yeah, last year he only played 20% of his snaps on the line, got bumped back to linebacker because of North Carolina State's injury issues, but he was still second on the team in tackles. Look, this staff got him here to play a position that's going to suit him a little better, right off the edge. And what better program in the Big Ten to make your name at the rush end position than right here in East Lansing, a team that has been bottom 3 in the Big Ten in sacks the last 2 seasons. So why is he number 2? Well, you got to have production from that position. And also, truly, not to throw shade at anyone else. I love all Spartans. Go green. I believe in all you boys this fall. But truly, if not Kenny Soares, then who's going to get to the passer on that defensive line here? Look, if you want to throw your eggs in the Anelu Lafayette basket, who am I to tell you to not do that, okay? Played sparingly last year because, well, like every other player on Michigan State, he had an early season injury. The year before that, he was at Wisconsin, didn't play as a freshman, but he's a former 4-star. You're hearing good things about him out of camp. Hey, you know what? Sure. You want to believe in Anelu Lafayette just because he has untapped potential? Go for it. I myself have a little bit of faith in him too. It's the other end of the line, though, that I am just very reluctant to believe will give us like 8 sacks, because here's who you got at the other end. It's Keenis Thompson. Yes, he is built like a Power 4 player. He fits the mold. But he's a transfer from Weber State, and even at Weber State last year, it wasn't anything popping off the page necessarily, but hey, the staff clearly liked him enough to bring him in. Who am I to tell you to not believe in Keenis Thompson? Also behind him, Isaac Smith, who you saw play last year. 6 pressures, 1 sack in 105 passing snaps. Maybe he'll have a big jump in an upperclassman season. Probably, I don't know. And then after him, Cal Thrush, who in his second year at Michigan State, he didn't really play at all last year. So yeah, I think if you're going to pit these guys against each other, who are you going to believe the most? Who gives you the most hope to get to the quarterback? It's got to be Kenny Soares. Like, it has to be. So yeah, Ben Murawski, Kenny Soares. We're going to talk about player number 3 at the other side of this break here, and then get into a little bit of basketball. But first, guys, need to talk your ears off about Indeed sponsored jobs. That's right, guys. Support for today's show comes from Indeed sponsored jobs, because they know when workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, it could get frantic quick. You need candidates that match specific needs like skills, certifications, location. Well, guys, they're going to give you enough time back in your day. They'll take care of the searching for you guys, and they're going to find the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now, and as a matter of fact, in the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. That's not too shabby. Guys, spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. It's less stress, it's less time, and more results, guys. And best of all, you can't beat this. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed right here on this podcast. It's Indeed.com/podcast, guys. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. So taking the bronze medal position on the podium for most crucial players for Michigan State, this is where the race really opens up. If you guys have a name that I'm not about to bark out or haven't already barked out, go ahead, comment below. And I'm sure Alessio's going to get a lot of comments below. The quarterback position is very crucial, but I'm actually going to go to the opposite side of the ball here. I'm going to go with another guy like Alessio that represented Michigan State at Big Ten Media Days, and that would be the one, the only, Nikai Martinez is who I'm going to go with for third most crucial player, and it's for a few reasons, of course, right? You don't get on this list if you're not, checking off a few boxes. But the biggest box that I'm seeing here is that the fact this entire secondary is hitting the reset button, right? Outside of Nikai Martinez, and yes, Avion Gross, Khalil Majid, they did play half the season last year, but as far as starting caliber players, Nikai Martinez is a guy that's going to be crucial for this season. And I'm kind of using starting caliber returning loosely because he did only play 4 games last season. I mean, we've seen injuries be an issue with Nikai's career here at Michigan State. And well, that's kind of where I also go to next is if Nikai does indeed go down, who is next at that secondary? Who's next at the safety position? Yes, Devin Vaught is thought to be the starter next to him, which is fine. Yeah, I heard good things about him outside of spring. Last year in Maine, he was second-team All-CAA. Granted, it's a little different playing at Michigan State than it is at Maine, but he's the best we got. And, he seems to be doing fairly well so far at camp. But behind him, yes, Avion Gross, he played 7 games last year. Khalil Majid's been with the program, since the Mark D'Antonio days, it feels like. And then it kind of falls off a cliff after that, doesn't it? Yes, you have Michael Richard, who was good enough at Louisiana Tech, but I think that, he's kind of penciled into that starting nickel role. Or after that, Jonathan Granby, his name. But that's a guy that was like a 3-star, not even like a bordering on 4-star guy, like a middle of the pack, if not to low end 3-star. And recruiting services are not the end all be all, but that is a drop off of experience there if you're going from Nikai Martinez to Jonathan Granby here. And this is actually where I go back to the news last week that, hey, thanks to the Colorado judge, these guys all of a sudden have eligibility for another year. This is where I wonder, did anyone bother calling Malik Spencer? I know he's trying to, cut it through a camp right now, I believe, with Washington, but we can't offer him a nice package to come back. I'm not saying he's an all Big Ten safety, but he's a guy with a wealth of experience, and I think a lot better than what we have in the room right now. So I'm just a little peeved that we're not taking advantage of that situation. But yeah, Nikai's a guy that, hey, he's been in the system for 3 years, right? He's been with Rossi for 3 years, and you need a guy like that in the lifeguard chair back there at that safety position. So that is my top 3 guys: Ben Murawski, Kenny Soares, and Nikai Martinez. Now let's walk across Munn Field and visit our friends over at Breslin Center because, well, yeah, there's been some scheduling news a few days ago. So I apologize. It took a while to get around to this, but football rules all in August right now. But 2 games have been added to Michigan State's schedule formally. Monday, November 2nd, which this looks like to be the season opener against Quinnipiac. And I'm sure that I did not say that name entirely correct, but that's how I've been saying it my entire life. So Quinnipiac, come on down. Welcome to East Lansing. The Bobcats, which everyone, of course, knows they're called the Bobcats, they are coached by Tom Pecora. He is heading into his 4th year, and they play a fast brand of basketball over there. They are top 40 in adjusted tempo in each of the 3 seasons that Tom Pecora has coached them. And here's a little bit of the tale of the tape. You go to barttorvik.com. They got the 2027 projections up. Is it perfect? No, but it's the best we got. They rank 232nd in the projected rankings. So they are a young team. Right now, they have no seniors listed on their roster, according to Bart Torvik. And such is life for a mid to low major. Their top 3 scorers from last year, all portaled, right? One went to Syracuse. One went to Grand Canyon. One went to Florida International. And I, genuinely, not trying to be funny or, sarcastic. I don't know how you could be a mid to low major coach and not find yourself in a padded room or a psych ward every single offseason. That job, I get they're paid decently handsome even at a low major level. There's no shot it's worth it, though. Just to see the revolving door of players in and out every single year, it would drive me to madness. Anyway, so that's Quinnipiac opener about a week before the Champions Classic. The Champions Classic is a little earlier than it usually is. We'll get to that in a bit. But the second game, welcome back, sweet child, Fran McCaffrey, making the return to East Lansing. That's right, guys. The Penn Quakers, they are coming up here 2 days before New Year's Eve, December 29th. So here is the tale of the tape. It's actually quite a step up from Quinnipiac because, Penn slots in at the number 132 projection on Bart Torvik, which is the second highest amongst Ivy League teams. Only Harvard is better than them, but that's pretty solid to be projected in the top 150 as an Ivy League school. Now, 5 guys have transferred away from Penn this offseason, including top player Ethan Roberts. He went over to Notre Dame. However, the other 4 guys I don't really think were much to talk about because I got a little stat for you here. And this is, again, courtesy of Bart Torvik. They rank, the returning possession minutes. How many guys that actually played for you are returning from last year? And Michigan State, they're in a really good spot. They are 9th in the whole nation. Of the 365 teams, they are 9th in returning possession minutes. Penn is 11th. Penn is only 2 slots behind. So, yes, they did lose their top guy, but everyone else around them, hey, you're not looking too bad. They got, some decent guys out of the portal as well. But, hey, you know what? They have an 88th adjusted tempo last year, which, of course, for Fran McCaffrey ball shouldn't really surprise you that they're in the top 100. But that is the second lowest adjusted tempo that Fran McCaffrey has had in his last 10 seasons. And my quick thought on this one is, yeah, sure, the jokes and the laughter about Fran McCaffrey returning. Maybe he'll have a patented meltdown on the bench. I honestly, after I get past that, though, you guys know me if you listen to the show. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm a coward. I get very scared about a lot of games. I'd actually rather not do this. What do you mean we schedule a really good mid-major? The rest of the schedule isn't going to be hard enough for you? I mean, this really feels like a callback to when we faced Indiana State a few years ago, and they were a borderline top 25 team, or heavens, dare I even say, who remembers the JMU game as the opener a few years ago where they were a really strong mid-major? I would rather not set that bear trap in the middle of Breslin Center's court. And odds are you're not going to step on it. You're going to avoid it. But, boy, if you get your legs stuck in there, that one's going to hurt. At best, that would be a quad 3 loss. And I'm not here to, already project that Michigan State will lose this game and will miss out on the tournament. But why sign yourself up for a landmine when you don't have to? We couldn't schedule, Lake Superior State or something like that. Davenport isn't busy, but leave it to Izzo to even make the mid-major games a little difficult. Yeah, okay, I'm a wuss. I'm a coward. I know how this sounds. Believe me, I do. But yeah, here we go. So here's the schedule as it stands right now. The opener against Quinnipiac, and then 8 days after that, November 10th, Champions Classic against Duke. November 17th, a week after that, at Tennessee. Thanksgiving against Arkansas. Gonzaga over in the desert on December 19th. And then, yes, that Penn game on December 29th. So what is next for the schedule? We'll learn the formal schedule for the Big Ten later on in September. But look, last year they had 7 games against mid to low majors. I'd imagine they'll still have Oakland. That game has to be formally announced. So with all that, I imagine that they're going to add 3 more low to mid-major games, and there's still that rumor floating around that another whale of a non-conference matchup will be added. Arizona was a popular rumor back in the day, but who knows? Stay tuned to find out, guys. Also, stay tuned for this mailbag question or two coming up here in a segment. First, need to talk everyone's ears off about Kalshi because, well, yeah, before the season kicks off, everyone is making predictions. Who's going to win the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at the end of the season? Well, on Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you could trade those predictions in a live market. Let's mosey on over to MSU football's page here for 4+ wins. Guys, if you want to invest $10, and if the Spartans hit 4 wins, that's going to have a payout of $15.47. So, guys, hey, go ahead. Trade on Kalshi. That's right. I said trade because you are trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. That's KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Also, guys, Odoo wants to help your business because they know that running a business should feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never even designed to work together in the first place. You got an app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow, great, none of them talk to each other. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software, because who has time for that? The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone work towards that same goal. It's true in sports, just like it is in business. Just look at your Michigan State basketball Spartans. From the front office to the managers to the coach to the players, everyone is working together on one page. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, guys. So great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockdown. That's odoo.com/lockdown. Again, guys, odoo.com/lockdown. All right, let's go swimming in the mailbag here. LockedOnSpartans@gmail.com if you ever want to shout, just like Sam did, starting with a very nice line. What's up, GOAT? Thanks a lot. Sam, you're the GOAT. Thanks a lot. Me and my friend group take a trip to an MSU road game every year and are debating where to go. We are ruling out Rutgers because of Thanksgiving. Should we go to Michigan, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, or save the trip for a top basketball matchup? Huge fan of the pod. Go green. And a go white to you, Sam. Thanks a lot for the kind words. It's not a bad menu of options, I gotta say. I've only heard great things about going to a Wisconsin game. My parents have gone to a Wisconsin game. They loved it. I've had some friends that have gone. It's a really good atmosphere. And let's be honest, Wisconsinites, don't they seem like distant cousins of Michiganders here? They just seem like nothing but great people. So that is a good one. And that might be my leader as far as football goes. Michigan, no, absolutely not this year, at least. No, I'll actually never go to Michigan in my entire life. I don't care if I'm promised, front row on the 50-yard line and Michigan State is favored by 30 points. No, I'm all set there. But how about the Notre Dame one is interesting. Just because of how historic that stadium is. I mean, they're going to have a really good team this year. It's going to be a night game. I can only imagine how majestic that atmosphere will feel like before the game. And if you've listened to us talk about the MSU Notre Dame game, this should not come as a surprise to you that I don't think Michigan State has a shot of winning that one. I don't. So if you can stomach watching MSU lose, that might be my favorite, just because the landmark that is that stadium down there. I think the vibes will be good. I don't think Notre Dame fans, as far as interactions that I've had or that other people I know have gone to South Bend have had, I don't have reason to believe that they're nasty people. I think that it would be a pretty friendly atmosphere down there too, if that's of concern. So I would probably go with Notre Dame. Actually, early enough in the season, good weather, night game, high vibes. And who knows, you could be watching the future national champion in Notre Dame here. But I do actually want to put up a fight for saving it for basketball season. I do. Because I got to say, if you have not gone to a Champions Classic, what a unique experience that is. Yes, you miss out on the tailgating, of course, but you could bar hop in Chicago, make your way over to United Center. Like, there's a way to have fun before the game if that is important to you. But man, I went to the Champions Classic in 2013 when it was number 1 versus number 2, Spartans versus Kentucky. Like, oh God, I'm so old. That was 13 years ago. And we were sitting in the second to last row in the upper deck. But man, having all 4 of those fan bases in there and feeling it that early in the season, just like it will this year, I think I would actually go for the Champions Classic. Now, those are not cheap tickets. That's the downside with having 4 very passionate fan bases, is that they all want to go. And it's in a central location like Chicago, right? Pretty easy to get to for all these fan bases. But hey, I would swing that. Or if you could swing this, I don't know your work life, obviously, your family life, but if you can get away for a few days, why not the UCLA USC swing? You know, we don't know when those games will be. They still got to announce the Big Ten schedule, but they will be a few days separated. And it will be a time on the calendar where weather in Michigan sucks. Like, it's horrible. Go see some palm trees. Go see a blue sky. Go see some sunshine. And also go see the Spartans play against a pretty good USC team. And, well, Mick Cronin's always going to have, a physical UCLA team over there. I also, God, there's so many good opportunities for basketball. Going down to Knoxville to see Michigan State against Tennessee, what a unique experience that would be. Or, similar to what we just said about catching good weather, go see the Gonzaga game in Coachella Valley in California. I have no idea how to get there, the closest airport or anything, or how bad ticket costs would be, but that'd be a great experience, I think. So yes, if I'm ranking it from what I just said, I would go Champions Classic 1, Notre Dame game 2, and then the UCLA USC swing out there second, and then Tennessee or Gonzaga kind of at the end. Sure, Wisconsin's good, it's fun. But yeah, that's my say. Thanks a lot for the question. I thoroughly enjoyed answering that one and thinking about it. And guys, we're going to end with one more from Harry. He sent this a while ago, so I'm sorry it took so long to get to this, Harry. But this is a selfish question. He's just asking about me. So if you've already had enough of me in this podcast, turn it off. You've given me enough of your time. But Harry wrote in, you've experienced Michigan State athletics as a student, alumnus, lifelong fan, and now as someone who covers the Spartans professionally. Professionally is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Thank you. Appreciate that. How has your relationship with the program evolved through those stages? Do you ever miss being, quote, just a fan, or has covering the program given you an even greater appreciation for it? Thanks. No, thank you, Harry. I love that question. I'm in, obviously, a very blessed spot right now because this allows me to both, still be a fan. I'm still jumping up on my couch in the living room. I'm not in the press box having to be some button-up professional that I'm really not. No, I'll wear it on my sleeve. I have a bias for this team, but I will also call it how I see it. I will not, just say something that I don't mean just to make everyone feel better. No, if I see a thunderstorm going on outside, I'm not going to paint a picture of sunshine and rainbows. But the only time I miss just being a fan is after I'm talking a brutal loss. One that you just lose sleep over for the next few days. The Kansas State tournament game from a few years ago. The Michigan game 2 years ago was not fun. How about the Michigan basketball games just last year? That wasn't fun. But I will add this. Dude, I don't think anyone does. Do not have pity for me. I know that this is not, in the grand scheme of things, important, right? I'm not a pediatric nurse. I'm not a fireman. I'm not, fighting overseas. My bad days are still incredible, all things considered. So the only time I miss being a fan is, right after a horrible loss, and I've got to turn the webcam and microphone on and try not to have a complete emotional breakdown in front of a few people. So yeah, that's it though. Other than that though, more losses, actually, I got to say it's cathartic to get on here. It's probably more valuable and more healing than therapy could ever be. So yeah, it's even after losses, it's more of a blessing than anything. It's dare I say it's in a sick way sometimes, not all the times, borderline fun after bad games. The Minnesota football game last year where they were absolutely screwed. I had to vent for 30 minutes and you guys were nice enough to listen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Or the UCLA game last year where they're getting their teeth kicked in at halftime. Yeah, like I had to go vent somewhere because, I was at my lovely brother-in-law's bachelor party. They were like fans, but no one cares about my thoughts that much. I had to go up and get away and do it in front of at least a dozen people that somewhat barely cared and wanted to share in the misery. So yeah, my fandom, though, like it's always been a 10 out of 10 ever since I can remember as a child, and it has stayed that way. Like I'm not any less of a fan than I already have been, and I couldn't have possibly been more of a fan of Michigan State here. So my appreciation, like, if anything, it's actually like a more of appreciation for who is behind the scenes here. We're talking like the general managers, the front office guys, the trainers, the student managers, whatever, recruiting staff. Just knowing how much goes on behind the scenes now, which I don't think I really would have known this had I not, then doing this, reach out to different people, kind of get in the weeds on some things, like learning how important like an athletic department actually is as it pertains to each individual program. But I want to end it with this. I'm really not sugarcoating this or lying to you just to make you guys feel better, but I do have a deeper appreciation for the MSU fan base than I did before I started this. And that's not because you guys just listen. I do appreciate that. But I'm appreciative of Michigan State because it is rare. And talking to other Locked On hosts, like I know how rare this is to have a fan base that is as passionate about football as they are basketball. Like I just joined Dalton Pence, Locked On Louisville the other day, and we were talking before the show. They've got like a decent football program. Things have been going well for them. He's like, yeah, no one cares about football over here. It's got to be basketball every single day. And, more so that happens to football, right? Like there are a lot of colleges out there with fine basketball programs. Their fan base just doesn't really care about it though. Whereas Michigan State, it's not lying. Like it's not hyperbolic. They care as much about football as they do basketball, and of course vice versa. And it doesn't hurt to have a really good hockey team these days too. So yeah, my appreciation comes from Michigan State, how well-rounded they are, just both football, basketball, and as a fan base, how much passion there is in Spartan country. So thanks a lot for the questions, guys. Really, really appreciate those. We will be back at the end of the weekend. Got a fun guest lined up. We've not done the interview yet, so I don't want to jinx things if things fall through. But, guys, stay tuned later on this weekend. We will be back, and then, all 5 days next week because we're doing it every single day, Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white. Have a great weekend. Mix in the water. Love you all. Go green.